heavily, so that the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord, meaning Yahweh, fighteth for them against the Egyptians. Verse 26, and the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horses. Right? Verse 27, and Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. So the main reason why I read that is because during that time, the angel, which was YAHAWASHI, was protecting Israel from the Egyptians. Okay, there was a separation right there. Okay, and the Heavenly Father was fighting for Israel, for the people he has a covenant with and the people he loved. Okay, he didn't have no love for them Egyptians. That's a heathen nation. He don't care nothing about them. Okay, and Pharaoh, he didn't care nothing about them. Verse 28, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them that were destroyed. And when you go on YouTube, there's records that Esau have went into the Gulf of Akbar and seen the chariots of Pharaoh in the Gulf of Akbar, and he have made a law that you cannot take those chariots out of that area. So Esau knows, because Esau, he don't have faith. He got to have evidence. Okay, so he went over there and looked and seen for sure that those chariots are there. And there's videos on YouTube showing that those chariots are in the Gulf of Akbar, aka the Red Sea. Okay, this verse 28, and the water returned and covered the chariot and the horsemen and all the hosts of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. Verse 29, but the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. Verse 30, thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. Okay, so the Heavenly Father drowned them, and that's spiritual, because what was they trying to do to the children of Israel? What were they trying to do during the time Moses was finna come up on the scene? And what did they say they was gonna do to the Israelite men? Okay, the men child. Okay, what they was gonna do was they was gonna drown them. Okay, if I can get it here. It says, this Exodus 1 and 22. This Exodus 1 and 22. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. So Pharaoh was going to put Israel to death, the men child to death. He was basically focused on Moses. Okay? But he was going to put him to death by drowning him. And what ended up happening to the Egyptians? they end up being drowned. Okay? They end up being put to death by drowning. Okay? And I gotta count. Now this is an extra treat. Now I gotta count to where the when they came over here, when the Edomite Spain came over here, the Aztecs had records about what I just read. Okay? They had records, and you had a friar, which was a monk, go amongst the people and ask questions and see paintings, and he jotted down what the people, which is the Aztecs, which are Issachar, which are the so-called Mexicans, he jotted down what the people were saying and what their ancestors had told them who died off. Okay? Now this is an account. I'm gonna go into this book, right? And it's called, let the brother look at it. Okay? And it's called the Aztecs. Okay? I'm gonna take that paper off. It's called the Aztecs. And it's the author is Fray Diego Duran. Okay? There go the author right there. Okay, and that's how the book looked with the cover off. Okay. Now I'm gonna go into some pages here. It says this on page 3, chapter 1. All right, and it says in order to discuss the real and the truthful account of the origin and the beginning of these Indian nations, right, so mysteriously and remote to us, and to discover the real truth about them, some divine revelation or the spirit of the Most High, which is God there, would be needed. Okay? This is what he's saying. This is what this Fry saying. This is what what's his name again? This is what the Duran is saying. Okay? This is what Duran is saying, and he's a monk. Okay? And he was from Spain, and I want to say he died in the Dominican Republic. And I want to say this was around not the early 1500s, but the late 1500s. These records was around that time, somewhere in the 1500s. I didn't look it up exactly, but you brothers can Google him and see where he was when he was on Earth and when he gave up the ghost. Okay, that's how it was determined it was around that time. Okay, this I'll read that again. This is in order to discuss the real and the truthful account of the origin and the beginning of these Indian nations, so mysterious and remote to us, to discover the real truth about them, some divine revelation or spirit of the Most High, which is God there, would be needed. However, lacking this, it will be necessary to make conjuncture and reach conclusions through the many proofs that these people gave us with their strange ways and manners of conduct and their lowly conversation, so like that of the Hebrews. So here it is. This Fry, this monk, Duran, is saying that the Aztecs, their custom and the way they are acting like the Hebrews. Okay? Because of their nature, we could almost affirm that they are Jews and Hebrew people. So these are the records, okay, that these elites know about and certain scholars know about, And we know about through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, starting from the apostles, the elders, the GMS on down to the younger brothers. Okay? These are the records that we have. And they have, like I always mention, 5,000 years worth of records, and they got records to blow these out of the water. But these are the records YAHAWASHI put the spirit on Esau to allow to get out. Okay? It says, because of their nature, we could almost affirm that they are Jews and Hebrew people. And I believe that I would not be committing a great error if I were to state this fact, considering their way of life, their ceremonies, their rites, and their superstitions, their omens and false dealing, so related to and characteristic of those of the Jews. The Holy Scriptures is witness of this, and we shall use it as our testimony. So this is what this friar, okay, this monk Duran is seeing among the Aztecs, okay, which are the Mexicans, which are the so-called Mexicans, right, which are Issachar today, okay. It says, I'm still in this page 3. It says, because all these things, my suspicion are confirmed that these natives are part of the 10 tribes of Israel, which Salmanasar, king of the Assyrians, captured and took to Assyria in the time of Hosea. So here it is. What is he referring to? 2 Kings. Okay? That's what he's referring to. Right? Now, I'm going to jump over to page 4. Well, I don't want to go too far. Oh, I'm going to jump over to page 4, the next page. Right? The Indians have traditions regarding a great man who, after suffered many afflictions and persecution on the part of his countrymen, gathered the multitude of his followers and persuaded them to flee from that persecution to a land where they could live in peace. Having made himself leader of those people, he went to the seashore and moved the water with a rod that he carried in his hand. Then the sea opened, and he and his followers went through. And the enemies, seeing this opening, went behind him, but the waters returned to their place, and the pursuers were never heard of again. What's clear proof needed we that these people are Jews, then the story of the flight from Egypt, wherein Moses moved the water with his rod, and the sea opened, a path appeared, right? And after Pharaoh followed with his army, the Most High returned the sea to its place. All the enemies beginning, then drowning in the depths. Question: if the previous account were not convincing enough, I should like to tell about another event that the Indians claim happened on their long migration. Okay, what he's finna go into is which I ain't gonna read it because of time, but that story I just read in Exodus, the 14th chapter, the Aztecs, which was the so-called Mexicans, had records of that when those Spaniards came over here. So they had the records, and their ancestors was telling them and teaching them the story of Israel being delivered. Okay, way before the Spaniards came over. Okay, it says this I'm on page 5 at the bottom. It says, therefore I am convinced and wish to convince others that those who tell this account heard it from their ancestors. See? So Issachar, so-called Mexicans, the Aztecs, heard this information from their ancestors, and they had records of it. The story of Moses and them going through the Red Sea to go for Akbar. Okay? This is what Duran is saying. A monk is saying. They already had it. They already knew about it. The account, okay, from their ancestors. So who are their ancestors? They are Israelites. And who are the so-called Mexicans today? Israelites. Okay? And the elites know this. But for you people that doubt, the thing is you don't know about the accounts of history and what took place because you have learned garbage. You have not learned the true history and the origin of so-called Mexicans, okay? Which is YAHAWAH. It says, this verse 5, this chapter 5, page 5, it's like, this page 5, okay? Therefore, I am convinced and wish to convince others that those who tell this account heard it from their ancestors. And these natives belong, in my opinion, meaning his view, to the lineage of the chosen people of the Most High, for whom he worked great, marvelous marvels. And so the knowledge and the painting of these things of the Bible and the mysteries have possessed from father to son. So they had paintings of those events that happened in the Bible, man. They had paintings, okay? Now, what happened to some of those paintings, he finna go into it. But did they destroy all the records? Nah, they didn't destroy all the records. But this these records are proof that they jotted down the knowledge about who the tribe was when they came on this side. Okay? They know. Okay? It said the feast of the, I'm on page 14. It said the feast of the Aztecs are always so full of adventure that those who are not acquainted with these people will be pleased to hear of them and their origin. I am aware of the great difficulties in relating these ancient historical, these ancient histories, right? Especially since they begin so far back. The early friar burned, now listen close, it says, the early friars, which was the monks, okay, burned the Aztec books and writings, and thus we lost important documents. The old people who could write this history are no longer alive to tell of the settling of this country. It was they whom I have consulted for my chronicles, or its timeline. So the so-called Mexicans know, and their elders who were taught their history with the scriptures, they know. And these Edomite elites, they know who the so-called Mexicans are. They know who the indigenous people of Mexico are. They know their lineage goes back to the children of Israel. But that was a treat I wanted to bring out through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. Because for one, I've been telling the brother that's behind the camera, you know, I had records through the spirit and he was wanting to see it. So it was all through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI allowed it to come out today because he's been wanting to see it. Now I'm going to show you accounts where I was reading. Okay, if you want to come up over there, you can pan down there at the page. That's on page 14, what I was reading. Okay, I'm going back. That's on page 4.
Okay. Well, I'm down here in front of you on the steakhouse.
Right, and that's on page 5, what I was reading. And that's on page 3, what I was reading. So what I did was went backwards to show you what I was reading. Okay, you got it? Got it? See it? All right, then. So there go the truth presented to you through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. So did Israel have records of the history of the scriptures and who they was when they came over here, led by Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans? Yeah, they had records. You know, they had records. So going back into the scriptures, right? This is First Chronicles, showing you the power of the angels again. Okay. Oh, to prove that was YAHAWASHI, Salakia, I forgot to prove it, that was YAHAWASHI in that chariot. I proved that. Well, how do you know YAHAWASHI? How do you know that was who the world entered and called Jesus in the chariot? How do you know that? That's Jake. That's Jake for you. Not everybody got the same interpretation. You know, everybody who reads the Bible got a different interpretation. That's the way Jake is, you know. Why you got your beard like that? I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to listen to you because you got a beard, you know. I don't like your t-shirt. You can't be a man of the Lord. I don't like your t-shirt. Your breath might be stinking. I don't like your breath. I don't like your teeth. That's the way Jake is. They find any excuse not to listen. You know, they get mad at you. You know, oh, why you got on flip-flop, Adidas flip-flop? Why you got on that? That's Jake. This verse, Corinthians 10, chapter 10 and 1. Moreover, brethren, I will not have you ignorant. First Corinthians 10 and 1. Moreover, brethren, and this is Paul right to the Corinthians, right? Which were Israelites, and Corinthians over there in Greece, okay? Which let me hold on. Jake, I say, how do you know that? You know, this is where Corinthians was. Come on up, it's on the map, bro. All right. This is where I got a Bible in the back of there, right? And that's where Corinth is, okay? Which is Corinthians, okay? And where is that at on the map today? And you had Israelites scattered, okay? And that would be over there. That's where it would be, okay? In what is that? In Greece. See? So you had Israelites during the time of Paul scattered over there, man. They wasn't just in Jerusalem, man. They were scattered, man, because of wars and slavery with the other nations, man. Those around about them, man, because of their transgressions, man. Most High always sent other nations after Israel after they broke the statute, laws, and commandments. So that caused Israel to be scattered. Okay, as a nation of people. So going back over there to Corinthians, right? To prove that was YAHAWASHI in that chariot behind the nation of Israel and in front of the Egyptians. He was in between them. This 1 Corinthians 10 and 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant how that all our fathers were under the cloud and passed through the sea. What is he talking about? We just read it in Exodus. And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did eat the same spiritual meat. Verse 4. And did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of the spiritual rock, and that